Professor Keelneth's 4 hands trembled as she reviewed her class roster for the 100th time. After 3 centuries of teaching xenobiology at the Galactic University of Centauri Prime, she thought she had seen everything. Then the administration assigned her 3 human students. Humans. From Earth. The legendary Deathworld that had spawned creatures so terrifying that most civilizations refused to share star charts containing its coordinates. Her classroom of 37 students, representing 19 different species, sat in absolute silence. The Veltheri had activated their natural camouflage and were barely visible against the walls. The peaceful Zephyrians had clustered together in the far corner, their gossamer wings folded tightly against their bodies. Even the normally boisterous Gorthak had reduced their usual rumbling to nervous whispers. The stories about humans were legendary throughout the galaxy. A species that had evolved on a world where the very atmosphere was toxic to most life forms. Predators who could track prey across impossible distances. Warriors who laughed in the face of pain and considered wounds to be character building. Most terrifying of all, they were said to form emotional attachments to other species, including their prey, which somehow made them even more dangerous. Professor Keelneth checked her chronometer. The human students were 3 minutes late. She began to hope they wouldn't show up at all. Then the classroom door opened. The first human through was a female with what appeared to be metallic studs piercing her auditory organs and facial features painted in vivid colors. The second was a large male wearing primitive fabric coverings decorated with the image of what looked like a domesticated carnivore. The third was smaller, carrying what appeared to be a steaming container of some liquid stimulant. The classroom held its breath. "Oh wow, are we late? Sorry, Professor." The female human's voice carried none of the threatening undertones the students had expected. Instead, she sounded apologetic. Traffic in the transport tubes was crazy this morning. The large male surveyed the classroom and immediately noticed the huddled Zephyrians. "Hey, are you guys okay? You look stressed. Do you need more space?" Without waiting for an answer, he moved his belongings to give them more room. The smaller human with the beverage container approached the barely visible Veltheri. "Dude, that camouflage is amazing. How do you do that? Is it like chromatophores or more of a light-bending thing?" Professor Keelneth watched in fascination as her terrified students began to respond. The Veltheri, instead of remaining hidden, actually began explaining their natural abilities. The Zephyrians cautiously unfolded their wings when the large human, who introduced himself as Marcus, asked genuine questions about their physiology. "I'm Emma," the female human announced to the class, "and this is Marcus and David. We're exchange students from Earth. We're super excited to learn about galactic biology. We've read all about your species and you all seem incredible." A young Gorthak named Vextar, known for his aggressive tendencies, raised a claw tentatively. Is it true that your world tries to kill you constantly?" David laughed. A sound that should have been threatening but somehow conveyed only amusement. "I mean, yeah, but so does every world if you think about it. We've just gotten good at working with our environment instead of fighting it. Plus," Marcus added, "once you've dealt with Australian wildlife, most things seem pretty reasonable." Professor Keelneth found herself leaning forward despite her nervousness. "What do you mean by working with your environment?" Emma brightened. "Oh, like befriending things. Humans have this weird trait where we form pack bonds with pretty much anything. We've domesticated plants, animals, fungi, even some bacteria work with us now. We figured out that cooperation usually works better than conquest." The Gorthak student Mordek rumbled thoughtfully. "But the legends say humans are apex predators who conquered their entire world." "Well, yeah," David shrugged. "But mostly we conquered it by making friends with it. We didn't eliminate other species, we integrated them into our society. My family has 3 dogs, 2 cats, a parrot, and a garden full of plants that literally compete to produce food for us." Marcus nodded enthusiastically. "Plus we've got beneficial bacteria, domestic sheep, partner insects for pest control. We basically turned our entire planet into one big cooperative network." Professor Keelneth watched as her students' terror transformed into fascination. The Velthari were asking about human domestication techniques. The Zephyrians wanted to know about Earth's atmospheric composition. Even the nervous Korthak were inquiring about human social structures. Wait, interrupted a SSI Rook student named Hisek. If humans form bonds with everything, does that mean? Emma grinned. Oh yeah, we're totally going to adopt all of you as friends by the end of the semester. Fair warning. The classroom erupted in what Professor Keelneth realized was laughter. Her students, who had been cowering in terror just minutes before, were now eagerly introducing themselves to the humans and sharing information about their homeworlds. As the class period progressed, she observed something unprecedented. The humans weren't trying to dominate the discussion or establish superiority. Instead, they were genuinely curious about every species present, asking thoughtful questions and sharing relevant experiences from Earth. When Marcus mentioned that humans had learned agriculture from observing insects, the Kithara student practically vibrated with excitement. When Emma discussed human medical advances derived from studying other Earth species, the healing caste Zelonians immediately began sharing their own biomedical knowledge. By the end of class, study groups had formed. The humans had somehow managed to create collaborative partnerships with every species present, turning what should have been a tense first meeting into an enthusiastic academic exchange. As students filed out, chattering excitedly about their projects and plans, Professor Keelneth realized the truth about humans. They weren't terrifying because they were conquerors, they were terrifying because they were the most effective friend-makers in the galaxy. And somehow that was far more powerful than any weapon.